All right, it is being recorded. All right, so let me get back on track. Okay, so once again, good morning. You can access the presentation at tinyurl.com/EBR teams with an S PD2. Please mute yourself to avoid any noise feedback. As you guys come in, sometimes you may not be already muted, so I'll just go over there and pop in and mute you, but try to mute yourself if you catch it. Check to ensure your sound is working. So if you cannot hear me right now, I know you're probably like, what is going on? Type it in the chat box. There is a link right here that says, check to ensure your sound is working. It's something on your side that you'll have to fix and kind of troubleshoot. It's super easy. And then feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions. So throughout, I'll pause, take questions, comments, concerns, and we'll address those as they come in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So if you're here for supporting students, teachers, and parents to effectively use our online platforms, you're in the right place. So today we're going to talk about how to use primarily Microsoft Teams, but we'll kind of dabble in Google Classroom a little bit. My name is Sahara Haney. I will be your primary trainer today. So hello, I see a lot of familiar names and faces and profile pictures in the chat box. So good morning once again. But you may also attend a training. You may have attended a training yesterday or later on today, and you may do one tomorrow from someone else on our team. So you'll meet our additional team members. Some of them are in here. They'll provide support as needed. But my name is Sahara Haney, and I will be the voice you hear today. So let's talk about how to support our teachers. We know it's a very unique situation what's going on. So some of our teachers may not be completely prepared. That's a nice way to say it, kind of. So we want to make sure that we provide everyone adequate notice before we push out these devices and push out this online platform for learning. So we recommend you guys giving them the EBR PSSS Distance Ed Video Conferencing Consent Form. Of course, give your families some notice before you do all of this. Schedule a deployment plan. I know principals right now are currently working away with creating a deployment plan so they can get the students and parents in and get the devices out. Before you schedule any lessons or online hours via Teams, let your families know, or even your employees as well, because some of us are working at home and we have 1,000 kids. So we have to kind of manage our time differently now. So make sure you let everyone know what's going on prior. Do some test runs with your families and your faculty, and then just kind of make sure you kind of walk through some little norms, like making sure your background isn't cluttered, things like that. This little form that is in our Students' Rights and Responsibilities Handbook is very important. This form covers damages. This form covers any internet usage, things like that. So traditionally in August, our department requires everyone to have this signed before you submit or before you deploy devices to your students. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. We understand you need to get the devices in kids' hands, but we prefer you guys get this signed, especially before you deploy devices for this online learning that we're going to start implementing soon. So some principals have suggested how they're going to do it. You guys, I'm going to give you a few suggestions, but it is up to your school site how you guys would like to deploy devices. So I know yesterday one principal said that they're going to have a lot of copies of these in case the child didn't have it already signed with multiple pens, a variety of pens. And then as they come in like a drive-through option, they'll grab the pen, grab the paper, sign it, and then submit it. I hear a little feedback, so let me go and see what words I'm hearing. All right, there we go. So you can kind of come up with a way of how to get these papers signed in case a student has not gotten it signed, but we strongly recommend you guys getting this signed so that we can cover damages on the backside. There's a little video that you guys can feel free to download and share. It's linked in the presentation. So at the end, I will give you the link again for the presentation. But it is linked on here. It's a quick little introduction video to show to your families. Oh, thank you, Shelby. So Shelby in the chat, she said that she has created some notes for this meeting. So thank you. Gracias. I greatly appreciate it. So if you guys want to access those, she has a little note in the chat box. Thank you so much, Shelby. All right, so I know you guys have been glued to the news. I have as well. And you guys may have heard about the whole Zoom bombing situation that's been going on, or people hacking into Zooms and saying inappropriate comments or just doing crazy things. Try not to share your video conferencing links publicly. So make sure whenever you would like to meet with your students publicly, or even your faculty members as well, you don't place those links in the world. Don't put it on your website. Don't put it on Facebook. Take those links and place it into a secure platform, either through Teams or Google Classroom, or however you disseminate things in a secure manner. You don't want to just publish it on social media or on your class website, because anyone can have access to that. And then they can now go click on that link and then figure out a way to get into your video conference. The mute button is my best friend, and it will become y'all's as well. So I see someone's having some trouble getting into the meeting. So if you're chatting in the chat box, you're in the meeting. So if you want to leave out and come back in, so I'm not sure exactly what trouble you're having, but we'll try to see what's going on. But the mute button is your very, very best friend. When you're doing a video conference, you're going to want to make sure everyone is muted. The one con that I will be honest about with Microsoft Teams, you cannot immediately have everyone be muted. So if someone comes into your meeting, you have to then go either say, hey, you guys, mute yourself, or you have to go and mute them yourself as the creator or the current presenter of the actual meeting. So you have to stress to your students or to your teachers to always mute themselves, because it can get very overwhelming if no one's muted and you hear dogs barking, you hear noises in the background, you hear husbands snoring, you hear babies in the background crying. It gets super overwhelming and distracting. So definitely the first norm that I recommend anyone implementing into their video conferencing is the mute function. Okay. Preparing to teach online. So we know it's been like a month since March 13th, a month and a half almost. Well, no, a month since we've been off of school, and everyone's in their PJs, comfy. Make sure you stress for students and for teachers to dress appropriately, even though they're gonna only see our torso, so our waist on up. Have an appropriate shirt on. Don't have your bonnet on. Don't, kind of get fresh. Kind of get, take a quick shower, put some nice clothes on, and then fix your hair. I get it. Trust me, I am guilty of wearing my bonnet the entire day. I understand. But you may, kind of jazz yourself up a little bit to feel like you're going somewhere, even just going to your dining room table or to your home office, so that you can appear appropriately for whoever's tuning into your actual meeting. Check technology online. So I'm a little OCD. I'm a control freak. I will double check things, triple check things 1,001 times to make sure that it's working. Because although I love technology, it will get away from you. And if you don't make sure your device is charged, or if your computer's updated, or things like that, or your speakers are working and your mic is working, it will fail you whenever you need it to actually work. So for example, yesterday I have a MacBook. I haven't updated my computer in Lord knows how long. I decided to do it yesterday at noon, like a crazy person, and then it took 1,000 years to update. So definitely make sure you are checking your things ahead of time, updating ahead of time, so that you're not having anything conflict with your actual sessions. We do have additional Microsoft Teams sessions. So on this link, if you click on that little hyperlink, we're going to continue pushing out things. Right now, we have a few for the beginning of next week. So it's just our intro training that we currently have, how to integrate it. So like a live hands-on demo that we do. And then we also have the engage and connect. So how to use it from a classroom teacher's perspective. So we're going to continue pushing out things to you guys. This document is like where you're going to go to. It's our ways to announce things to you guys. So that link is very, very important to access. And then, although we're not at our actual campuses, we still do. Let me go back to present. We still do have our IT help desk system working. So even though no one's at the actual IT office, they have someone remotely accessing it to check IT help desk tickets. So if you think there's a problem with your login or something else is going on, put a help desk ticket in. They will reach out to you and try to provide support. Check the lighting, check your camera, and check your background. Check, check, check. So once again, make sure you don't have anything cluttered in the background that can be a little distracting. Check your lighting. You don't want to be in a dark room in your bed where all the blinds are closed. And then just check your camera framing as well. So just kind of double check some things that you want to make sure are appropriate for people to see. And kind of, if you're a teacher, warn your husband, don't come in looking all crazy in the background. Tell them to stay away until you're done, okay? Thank you, Mrs. Hodges, for providing support, and Mrs. Washington. I greatly appreciate both of you guys. Be on time. So try to create your video conference, your link, or schedule it at least 10 to 15 minutes beforehand. If you have extra time, do 30 minutes beforehand to just check in and to provide any support. Watch the time, check your pacing, because time will fly by whenever you're video conferencing with your students or with your faculty, especially if you're doing it with your actual faculty, because we haven't seen each other in so long. So we want to check in, make sure everyone's okay, do some little quick temp checks with everyone to make sure that we're all healthy and we're mentally healthy and physically healthy and all of those things. So time will pass by, or your dog may start barking and you want to show your dog to all of your either your students or your coworkers. So time will pass by, but you want to honor everyone's time by making sure that you kind of pace yourself, either your lesson or your meeting, and checking your time and keeping on track with your time. There is a waiting room function where you can kind of monitor who is coming in and who is coming out. If you're going to do a faculty meeting, and if you have 50, 60 people in your faculty, I don't recommend that function because it can get really overwhelming. Because then you have to go and approve everyone coming in. But then once again, remember, if you're in your teams, if they're already a member in your team, they have access to it and you're good to go. So just how you guys joined my meeting this morning, same mind frame, your faculty or your students will come in to that option as well. Thank you, guys. Everyone's just stepping in to help Mrs. Tamara. Thank you so very much for assisting her. I'm sorry this is happening, but we are recording it, so I will email it to you personally at the very end, so that you can at least have that in your email box. Norms are very important. So just how at the very beginning of the school year in your classroom, you sit down, you go over rules and expectations with your students, have the same protocol. If you teach upper elementary or secondary, I recommend sitting down and the entire class or the entire group create norms and rules on how online learning and video calls should kind of go. If you're maybe a lower elementary teacher and your kids have access to devices, you may want to maybe create some and then discuss them with them, but definitely create norms on how to interact on a video conference and just interact online in general, okay? Use your camera, to your advantage. So be positive, make some jokes. Like it's a very, like I said, unique time. So everyone has 1,001 things on their mind and you don't know what is actually on their minds. So try to be that good, positive energy that they can interact with just for that 1 hour or 30 minutes to kind of make them feel good and to have a productive meeting. Because if you make them feel good, they're going to want to engage with you more and more and more. During the lesson, student and teacher engagement, make sure that you're engaging everyone. So you can, of course, in your chat box, submit different forms for them to go and click and take, quizzes, ask questions, do different things where you can now kind of engage your students a little bit more. Student engagement will look a lot different online compared to in person. In person, I feel like teachers are actors. We have to put on an act and like become an Oscar award-winning person to deliver this instruction. It's similar, but now you're online. So you have this wall in between yourself and your students or yourself and your teachers. So you have to figure out some unique ways to keep them engaged. And then once again, pace yourself. Like I said, if you haven't seen your kiddos in a long time, like you miss their face. Like I haven't taught actual students in like 3 years, and I'm worried about all of my old previous babies. And if I saw them right now, I probably would talk to them for like 2 hours. So you're going to want to pace yourself to make sure that you can also cover your information and present whatever you have to present. Now, I tell everyone this little tidbit. I love this option. Whenever you're presenting something, so like right now, I'm presenting this PowerPoint or this slide deck to you guys using my laptop. A great way to manage the pace of your lesson is to have a second device. If you have access to it, have a second device, either an iPad, a cell phone, and have it open to the exact same lesson and monitor your chat. So then now you can kind of see what's going on and provide assistance without having to stop and open up your chat, interrupt the entire presentation, and then monitor that. Kind of, monitor both at the exact same time. Mrs. Tamara, Mrs. Louisa is calling you to provide assistance. Thank you so much, y'all. Once again, I have some warriors in the chat providing assistance. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. So just like I said, that little tidbit, I'm using it right now. So as you can see, I'm not leaving my actual presentation. I'm monitoring the chat on my phone just to kind of keep everything flowing perfectly. So then I can stop, ask questions, answer questions, etc. And then also pay attention to who's having trouble. Because if I didn't open up my chat, I wouldn't be able to see that Mrs. Tomorrow's having trouble with this. And always be ready to meet yourself. So I think last week I was doing a training on Intro to Microsoft Teams. I don't have any children right now. I'm still in a newlywed, I guess, phase or whatever. And I have a dog though. My dog is my child completely. And he was quiet. He was sleeping the whole time. And he must have got a burst of energy, and he got up and grabbed every single toy he owns in my house and started playing with them. And they're all loud. So at that time, I had to make a joke of it, of course, and then mute myself so that they wouldn't hear him going crazy in the background with his toys. So it's okay to mute yourself if you have children. If your husband just came home from work and he's throwing down his whatever lunch bag on the kitchen counter or whatever the case may be, you may want to always be ready to go and quickly mute yourself. So everyone else should be muted, but don't be afraid to mute yourself as well. This part is so important. Ending the video conference. So I'm going to get out of this presentation to show you guys something live. So whenever you are in a video call, that red button right here, you guys see, when I click that, all it does is hang me up. That's it. It doesn't actually end the meeting. And we've had some trouble with teachers or, school leaders as well, understanding the difference of hanging up and ending the entire meeting. So if I click the little hang up button, I can still go back to the meeting if I call back in. Okay, it's the same concept as me hanging up on my phone. I can still call you. But if I end my meeting, it's like me locking my door and we're done, that no one else can access that. So let me show you guys where to end your actual meeting. So in between my share button and my chat box button right here, and I can't zoom in because I'm in the app, so I apologize. There are 3 dots though. You're going to see those 3 dots whenever you're in the actual meeting. The owner or the creator of the meeting, which is me, so y'all won't have this option. I can now go to where it says in meeting and end the meeting for everybody who is a participant. This is super important because we've got some reports, excuse me, from some teachers saying that I hung up, I ended what I thought I ended the meeting, but my kids are still in the meeting having a party, and I'm still able to go back into the meeting and restart it again. No, you have to end the entire meeting. So you have to come to your 3 dots once again, and then go to end meeting. That will end the meeting for everyone, and everything will now be disabled. So make sure you do that for yourself. All right. And then if you forget, we have the images right there to show you guys how to access that. A screencast or a GIF. So it shows you how to actually end the meeting. You ended the meeting correctly because it always asks you, how was the call's quality? See, my dog just all of a sudden, I apologize, just grabbed this toy once again. But there is a little GIF right here for you guys to go to your little 3 dots and show you guys how to end the actual meeting. So feel free to use that for additional assistance. After the video conference, so if you're a teacher, or like I said, even a school administrator, and you're actually having a video call with your students or with your teachers right now, you want to follow up to make sure everyone's okay and that they understood what you talked about. Just kind of do a little quick check-in. If you're a classroom teacher, you can use Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Reminds. If you are a principal, you can use your email, things like that. Mrs. Antoinette in the chat, she said, in-meeting is a new feature. It wasn't like that. Yes. It wasn't like that a couple of weeks ago. So you are not crazy if you had this problem before. Yes. They rolled it out. Yes. Because everyone and their mama, even myself, they were complaining about the chat and the video call continuing on after they have left. So yes, it is a new feature. It rolled out, and I'm very excited that they did, because baby, they were harassing me with those notifications coming through. So yes, it's Antoinette, you are correct. But like I said, just kind of follow up, make sure that everyone understood what was covered in that specific video conference, and everyone understood what was expected from them. And then gather feedback. Ask them, hey, how did it go? Give them an exit ticket to a Google form or an online poll, like Mentimeter or things like that. Find out if anybody had any problems so that you can continue to provide support and address any sign-in or technology problems before the next meeting. Some additional things to kind of be mindful of when you're meeting with your students or with your teachers. Give them prior notice that it's going to be recorded. So y'all saw, if you were here at the very beginning, I recorded my session. I'm gonna show you guys how it looks. So when you're in the meeting, same little 3 dots. Anytime y'all see those 3 dots, you will, it means more options. So click that, and then you'll see the little option that says, for me right now, it says stop recording. If I click that, it will stop recording. But at the very beginning of the meeting, I clicked start recording so that I can record this entire training and session. Once you click that, though, let participants know that you are recording the session or the video conference. Microsoft Teams will let you know to tell everyone that you're recording, okay? Just to kind of be on the right side of the law, okay? Make sure that you are alerting everyone that you're recording this specific training or your meeting or whatever. And then tell them why. Just say, hey, y'all, I'm going to record this so that I can go back and maybe listen to any questions that y'all had, or to provide an extra resource for you guys later on today or tomorrow. And then share the recording. So once you record something in Microsoft Teams will process it, and they will email you the link to view it or to download it. So then once you download it, if you want to place it on YouTube, you can, or send it in an email, or put it in Class Dojo, whatever you want to do for your students, you can place it in that area for them to view it. If you are a teacher or an admin and you don't know how even to use Teams, we do have those trainings. Remember, I can't remember which exact slide it was on. On slide 11, we do have that little link that takes you guys straight to the available PD sessions. Oh, so Mrs. Antoinette said the phone app is easier to use and more consistent connection. Yeah, she said, because she lives in the boonies. I understand. I live in Livingston as well, and I live in the boonies. I understand. So that may be an issue. So if someone's having any internet issues or connection issues, try to recommend that app. It's free on any device. I'm an iPhone lover, so if you have a Droid, you can also access it as well. And it's free to use. So definitely try to have multiple ways to access Teams. Thank you for that recommendation, Mrs. Antoinette. All right, let's get back on Triggity track. All right, that's where I was. And then if you still continue to have the same issues, either audio or video, you're gonna have to troubleshoot, because right now we can't come to anybody's house and try to figure it out for yourself or for you. But reach out. My email is sglasper1. I'll show my email again at the very end. I FaceTime, like I always, if anyone's in here and they've ever had an issue with something at their school or even at home, and I can't understand what's going on or I can't see it, I always ask you, do you have an iPhone? Can I FaceTime you? So I can go ahead and see what's going on and help you provide and give you that support that you need. My participants also have the option to start and stop recording. Not sure this is true for students. Is there a way to disable the feature for them? So like Mrs. Washington said, the kids do not have that option. Adults do. So adults will have that option to stop recording, to start or stop a recording for themselves. So yes, thank you, Mrs. Washington, for answering that. So I have a quick little question for you guys. I'm not going to worry about the form. You guys can type your answers in the chat box or unmute yourself if you would like to answer. But what potential difficulties do you guys think our teachers will face as they transition from physical face-to-face classes to a virtual online setup. So what are some potential difficulties you guys think your teachers, if you're an administrator, or your coworkers, or you yourself, because you may have some difficulties, I understand, that you may face trying to transition from a face-to-face meeting to a virtual meeting? You can either unmute yourself or type in the chat box. Oh, so Mrs. Junda from Wildwood, she said students failing to participate are not able to participate because of lack of tech. Yes, and we are trying to address that issue. We understand that our kids they don't all have equitable access to internet and technology. So we are working very hard to try to address that issue. Ms. Briscoe, she said having students to log in on time. Yes, because it's a struggle for teachers as well. Because I was like, oh, baby, it's early in the morning this morning. So I understand. Poor connection because where you live are multiple kids in one house. Yes. So like for us, we're adults. We understand that if I have a crying baby in this room and a toddler in the other room, it's going to be kind of hard to log on to this meeting. But I may log on and mute myself. Kids, if you're in 5th grade, you don't really understand that these can be distracting to your other classmates online. So yes, watching students paddle in their boats during class is distracting. Can you explain? Oh, okay. Also, I currently only have one student that can access Teams. So I'm not sure if it's Mr. or Mrs. Robinson, Ronitz. I hope I said your first name correctly. I will email you myself after this meeting to see what issue you're having with Teams. And I'll try, Miss, thank you so much for clarifying that. So Miss Robinson, I will email you myself and see what issue you're having with Teams and see if I can provide supports. Because there are a couple of ways to add your students. So I'll play with it and try to help you add your kids, because I want your kids to be in Teams. Learning how to record lessons so all students can have access. So that's a really good concern. And I understand that because they may not be able to tune in whenever you have your actual live video conference. So remember, from the organizer's point of view, excuse me, have that option to come to your 3 dots, and then the little start recording button will be right there. Click that at the end. Whenever you're done, go back and hit stop, and you're good to go. It'll email you the link whenever it's done processing. Mrs. Antoinette suggested adding them through the link in your Google Classroom. That's a very good idea. So there are 3 ways to add students. Let's kind of review those really quickly. So whenever you have your students and you want to put them in your Google Classroom, there are 3 ways. One way, having your students join using your code. Second way, adding them in manually, which I'm assuming that's what you try to do, Mrs. Robinson. And then the third way is giving them a link to add your class. So let's go through those 3 ways. So whenever I create my class, I have a little fake EBR elementary school. Next to my class name, I have 3 dots right here. When I click that, I have the option to add member. It's the third option from the top. When I click add member, excuse me, I can now start adding my members manually. That means typing in their names. Now, we have heard from teachers, and I've experienced this also myself, that I've typed in my student's name, but they're not coming up. The system is very, very particular. You have to type in their names literally perfectly. If they have a capital letter in a weird place in their name, type that in. If they have an apostrophe or a space, type that in. If they have a hyphenated last name, you have to type that in. So I recommend teachers going to J Campus, and copying and pasting the names straight from there and placing it right there. So for example, I have a little sister, she's in 5th grade. And if I type in just her first name, Maya McNeely, nothing comes up. She's a student in EBR, so I should be able to add her to my class or my school. I have to then go and type in her middle name on jail, and she will pop up. So you have to type in their complete full name, Miss Robinson. Should be mindful of that. Or the other option is type in their username. So you'll see whenever I type in her name, her username also pops up. So MM206, blah, blah, blah. I can type that in as well. So either one is perfectly fine. So you have to type in the full name. Definitely be mindful of that, because there are multiple Joseph Browns in the district. Type in the exact name from where you got it from J Campus, and it should pop up for you, or their username. The other way to add members is the code. So, excuse me, next to your teacher's name or your class name, you have 3 dots right there. Click that and go to Manage Team. And then you have 4 options, or a few options, excuse me. And then next to channels, you have the option that's called Settings. In the middle of that screen, you have the button that is called Team Code. Click Team Code, and then it's going to ask you to generate your code. So I'm going to turn off this code so I can show you how it looks from your side. It'll say Generate Code. Click Generate Code, and it will give you a code to copy, share with your students, send out through Remind, put in your Google Classroom, email it to parents, whatever the case may be. They'll take that code and type it in, similar to Google Classroom. The third way to ask students, so remember we have our manual way, typing in their names, their full names or usernames. Second way, giving them the code, or the third way, giving them the link. To access your link to join, next to the school's name or the team's name, once again, go to your 3 dots and then go to where it says Get Link to Team. Click that. And you now have a link where you can copy it and share it to all of either your teachers, your students, things like that. Now, to kind of be, completely transparent, I don't recommend the last way, because if you are a faculty, a school leader, and you're adding your teachers that way, you have to then go and approve every single request. And they don't come in at the same time. They come in at midnight. They come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. They come in across a whole week. So if you don't go and approve their request, they won't have access to it. Now, of course, you can maybe tell them, I need you guys to have it done by a certain time or day. So you can kind of go in and approve them all at one time. But just be mindful of that. If you give them the link, you have to then come to where it says pending requests and approve any request that you currently have for that specific class. Okay, I have a few questions. Let me go back. So she says she's added them all, but most of them don't have devices. Okay, so what grade do you teach, Ms. Robinson? If you can let me know in the chat. And we can try to see if we can give you some options. But remember, admin, they're currently deploying or coming up with a plan to deploy devices. So they will get devices soon if they are in 4th through 12th grade. And we're trying to figure out some things for the lower kids also. And if they're in high school and they got a cell phone, like Ms. Washington recommended, they have apps. So Mrs. Britton asked, if you use the code, where do students put it in? Very good question. So when kids log into their Microsoft Teams platform, in the right-hand corner, there's a button that says Join or Create Team. Click that, and right there, it will say Join Team with the code. They'll take that code that you provided to them and put it right there. Easy, easy. And this is not a mandate. So I try to always let everyone know that Microsoft Teams is not a mandate from us. We are recommending, sorry, I have a text that came through. We are recommending that you use what you previously used. So if you were using Classroom, Google Classroom beforehand, continue using that. However, we opened up Microsoft Teams to be an option because it has that little one-stop shop of the video conferencing embedded in it. We do know that Google Classroom, they're trying to keep up with everyone else, and they have deployed the Google Meets button in Google Classroom. So then I can now meet with my kids in Google Classroom. That is there. However, our IT department is currently vetting it out to ensure that it is safe and secure to use. So that is not an option right now. It may be, in a couple of days or next week, but as of right now, that is not an option for us to use. Well, no, the link takes them to the actual team. So how some of y'all had to join the team today, if you take that link, so the link that you had to type in, you hit join, and then it will give me a request. So it takes them to the actual team, and then they hit approve. So let me see if I can show you an example. I don't think I have a team that I can use. I don't have an actual team that I can use, but for everyone to join this team specifically, you had to actually type in the link that was on the flyer that Robin sent out or that your principal shared to you. And then it brings you to the team to join. And then me as the user had to come here and approve your request and had like a long list of people to approve. Mrs. Stapleton, just for my clarity, teachers will be able to use Teams with, yes. So students have Microsoft accounts. Yes, ma'am. So they can add their students. Good question, Mrs. Babs. All right, I think I answered everyone's question. No problem. All right, so make sure I answered everyone's question. Oh, so yeah, I did answer that question. So yeah, Ross, you said in other meetings we were told teachers should continue using their Google Classrooms. Can you clarify? Yes. So y'all can continue using your Google Classrooms, but we're giving you guys Teams as an alternative, and your principals will be using Teams. So we want to just kind of make sure that everyone is understanding what's going on and they have access to all the different things, so that you guys can make that decision within your own class or within your school site. Is there a way for administrators to check to see if teachers have created teams? To my knowledge, no, but I'm going to defer this question to Mrs. Kuiper. Ms. Kuiper, do you know if there's a way for admin to check if their teachers have an actual team created? I know she's in the chat. She may type a response.
That's a good question. And I think that's one that we can follow up and find out if there's a way to see if, so the question is, they want to see if a teacher has a team set up. I think currently configured, only our district admins would be able to see that. But I think as a best practice, what I'm recommending to schools and teachers who ask is that invite your school administrator into your team, so that way they would be able to see it.
Perfect. So yeah, so any team class type that someone creates, they have the option. Let me go back and show you guys. They have the option to add students and our teachers. So I'm going to show you on my screen. So I have the option to now add students, or I can come here and add teachers. So then when I add a teacher, they can have the same rights as I. So we recommend that teachers add their principals to their team so they can have access to view what's going on. To make sure I answer the next question. I get to Microsoft Teams through my email. How do students get to Teams? Email, app, link. There is a link in Clever. So the link, I want to say the link pushed out to Clever last Monday, if I'm not mistaken, or either this Monday. One of the Mondays that they have had, they've all merged together. But yes, they have a link in Clever, or I'm gonna type it into the chat box. They can go to teams.microsoft.com. Either one is fine, but they have a link in Clever now. I want to say it launched last Monday. All right, let's get back on track. Good discussion. So we understand that these questions are questions that either y'all are having or your teachers are having. So we understand completely. We hope that we're here to provide support in every single capacity, you guys. All right, get back to the next part. So how can I support my students and parents? So the great thing, and it's going to come up later in this presentation, but I like to kind of let everyone know, the one thing that I appreciate with Microsoft Teams, it allows me to add my parents to my classes. So for example, if you are a Google Classroom user and you loved it, you know that you cannot add your parents like as a member or a guest into your classroom. The only option users have in Google Classroom is for parents is to add them as a guardian. And then every Friday, that person will receive an email from Google Classroom. That is it. That is a downfall, because to me it's very abbreviated. It's not that fleshed out. It's not that detailed. And I want to know what's going on, in my kids' class life. The great thing with Microsoft Teams is if you ask them as a guest, they will have a guest access to your team, and they can kind of pop in and see, what assignments y'all are having, what discussion board activities y'all are engaging in. They can also tune in with the video call function as well. So they can join your video calls. To add someone as a guest to your team, so that means a parent, anyone that's not an EBR, as a member of your team, if I'm going to go to one of my teams that I already have created, and I go to my my same little three dots. Y'all going to get tired of those three dots. Click that, and then go to add member. It doesn't really matter how you add them, either as a student or a teacher. It doesn't matter. I'm going to add this person as a student, though. So I'm going to add myself because I have a Gmail account. and then hit add. That person will receive an email with some steps to go through. They have to go through those confirmation steps to confirm that they are a real person, and then they will create an account with Microsoft. So then your parents will have access to your team. They can come in, check in to see what the kids are doing, what they have to complete, whatever the case may be. So you can add parents to your team. They have guest access, so they don't have the same access as your students or as your teachers, but they do have access to the team to view what's going on. They just have to have a working email address. Okay. Let me get back on track. Thank you, Ms. Kuiper, for providing support, and Mrs. Johnson, thank you so very much for providing support again. All right, so take some time, to get used to Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom. So whichever platform you're going to use, we're not telling you to use one specific platform, but whichever one you decide to use, take time and learn how to use it. Of course, we recommend starting off small and working your way up. Don't try to take the entire beast by its horns, Take some time, get into it, and kind of maneuver your way through it as time goes by. Quick question, Mrs. Ross. Can guests have an access code? No. So you cannot give guests a code. You have to add them in with their email address for them to take their email and then confirm it from their side. There is not an access code. So I know that could be a downfall. You may not have their actual email address. That's the only way you can add guests to your team. So once again, make sure you go through, take some time to get used to it, not only for you, but then let them get used to it as well. Don't have an assignment on the first day you create the Microsoft Teams. Give them a chance to get into the team and get acclimated with the various things inside of your team or inside of your Google Classroom. So I know one thing I used to do when I was a classroom teacher, the first week of school, I would have my kids do a scavenger hunt across my classroom so that they can locate where my missed work area was, where the homework area was. I taught elementary, so it was a little kiddie-ish, but I had things for them to do so that they can get acclimated to my classroom. Do the same thing. Have a little cute virtual scavenger hunt, or have them kind of just click on different things and maybe figure out what this button goes to, what this button goes through. You don't want to assign something at the very first moment that you add them to the classroom, because they may not even know how to access what you assigned them. So take some time. You get acclimated, they get acclimated, everyone gets acclimated, and then you guys can go ahead and continue to learn online. So I hope that's a good idea for you guys. All right. Check the time and date of your virtual lessons. So when you're initiating these lessons, once again, be mindful of when you schedule the various video calls and the lessons and things like that. You can, of course, in Teams, there is a calendar function. So let me close this. Over here in my left-hand corner, every single team has a calendar. So whenever I click on the calendar button, my personal Microsoft calendar will pop open, but then I can now start adding assignments and things like that to my calendar for everyone to kind of remember, to kind of stay current and stay on deadlines and due dates and things like that. So that option is there for you guys to use. So use the calendar function. Classroom, Google Classroom also has that function. Let me show you guys where it is. So any assignments that you add to Google Classroom, that function is there for you guys to use. So if you add a due date to something, you will have a classroom calendar. So did I add a due date? So yeah, here it is. So I added a few due dates for my sister. This is her little Google Classroom that I created for her while she's at home. And I have a little button right here that says Google Calendar. And every classroom that I own has its own calendar. So I can now add due dates, things like that. So it's the same kind of framework as a team's calendar. So that option is there for you guys also. So kind of check with time and dates, keep everyone abreast of what's going on, assign due dates, things like that. Once we deploy devices, if you are in a device grade level, so if you're in 4th through 12th grade and you give them a device, the students on their Chromebook, the button is right there. Now, right now, they don't have a device, their own Chromebook, and they're using their mom's MacBook or their mom's Windows PC. They're going to have to go to a Clever portal. But on their actual Chromebooks, IT my dear lovely people in IT, they have pushed out the IT app on the Chromebooks. So that is awesome for us to have quick and easy access to the app from their devices. Does the view still limit how many people you can see? Yes, Miss Junda. I know that is like the number one complaint that everyone has complained about in Microsoft Teams. They only allow 4 views. Now they are currently pushing out, I think at the end of April, a 9-view one. But I'm pretty sure because everyone's harassing them and complaining and comparing them to Zoom, they're going to end up going to the full screen one. So right now, only 4. I'm sorry. I know everyone's complaining about that. But like I said, if they're on a Chromebook, the little icon will be there at the very bottom of their screen, or they can go to Clever, or just go straight to the website, teams.microsoft.com. So what will students and parents do and see? Once again, students will need to sign in with their EBR accounts. So their usernames, their first initial, last initial, student ID, and the @ebrschools.org, and their password. So we know you may not have access to that password. We have access to INS. We're working on ways for you guys to quickly get these passwords and things like that. That information will be coming out soon. But that is how the students will log in to Teams and also, of course, to Google Classroom. If you're a presenter, does it also show 4 people? Yes. So let me show you how it looks on my side. So you see on my screen now, I only see 4 people. At the bottom, I see everyone's little icons, but that's it. I only see 4 people. So yes, ma'am. Only 4 people. I know. Trust me, y'all have told me about that 10 times over. I understand. All right. Like I said earlier, your parents will have to create an account. So when you add them as a guest, they will have to come here and create an account. And it gives them a link in their email to come and kind of confirm and create an account. Students also, their account is already created. So when they come to the Teams login page, they're going to log in with their little EBR account, type in the password, and then they now have that little box that says join the team with the code. Type in that code and they're good to go. That's how they can have access to your team using the code if you did not add them manually. Once they have added your team, they have the link to the actual team right there. So it's very similar. I make this comparison all the time. It's very similar to Google Classroom. So if you are a Google Classroom user, you know in Google Classroom, all of your classes live on a dashboard. So I can see all of the classes that I either am the owner in or the creator of, or a member of, excuse me. Same thing with Teams. Teams, I can see all of my classes or my teams at one view. So it's very similar to Google Classroom. How can I access INS site from my home computer? Right now, you don't have access to it because you have to be on the school's internet. So we know that's the issue. It's coming down the pipeline of a plan. So just give us a couple of more days and we have a plan coming on how to access INS from home or how to even get the username and passwords. All right. So when you want to initiate a video call, so how you guys join my call today, that's how your students can join your call. So for example, I'm going to go to my team, my little fake elementary school that I have. And when you're on your home page, you'll see all the posts that you've posted in the past. But at the very bottom, you zoom in, there's the option to initiate a video call. So there's a little video call button. Simply click that button. And you can now, why is it not letting me do it right now? Oh, someone's requesting the control. Let me deny that person. Okay. So then I can now have my video call working and ready to go. And then as a user, they will then go in and they will see that little join button that you guys saw this morning. So once again, at the very bottom, click the little Meet Now button, and then you have the option to join it from your side. Or from their side, excuse me. I used a Chromebook to participate in the meeting. It only showed one person at a time. It was the person speaking at the moment. I'm not sure if it was a setting that needed to be adjusted. So It could be the Chromebook because it has a smaller screen. I know, for example, with Zoom, if I am in a Zoom from my phone, I can only see like I think 3 people at a time. I have to swipe over to see everyone else. So it could be the smaller screen, or it could have just been everyone else was muted, so you only saw whoever was speaking at that time's screen. I'm not sure. Or their profile picture. When you initiate a video call, Chrome, because we want y'all to use Chrome is going to ask you to allow to use your camera and your microphone. Be sure you go to that area, hit allow, and then you have access to now initiate your video call. On the Chromebooks itself, though, if they're on a Chromebook, they have a little button right there, a webcam button in their Omnibox in their web address bar. They're going to have to click on that if it doesn't pop up to activate their video and or audio. Now, I've gotten a few emails from teachers saying, hey, I couldn't see my students. I didn't need to see them, but I couldn't see them. Don't freak out, because right now, once again, they're not on Chromebook. So they may be accessing your team from their parents' device that they don't have a webcam. So you may not be able to see them right now, but once the Chromebooks go out, you should be able to see them after that. When you join a video call, similar to today, when you hit the little join button, you have the option to mute yourself, turn your camera off, and also access your device settings like your speakers and your microphone. So always kind of toggle with those to kind of make sure everything's working correctly. And then, of course, give consent. So we got to make sure that we are allowing our teachers to check into the classes to provide instruction. Your parents are going to have to make sure that they understand what all is going into this and provide the appropriate consents. And then, of course, just always provide that support, follow-up support. Make sure everyone has everything signed, all those little kind of I's dotted, T's crossed little things we have to implement on our side. And then, of course, you want to dress appropriately. So not only the kids, but us as well. So kids need to make sure that they dress appropriately. And then they should also check their technology ahead of time. So when they get their Chromebooks, they will get a charger as well. They need to get into the habit of charging their Chromebooks every single night, checking their, making sure their little baby sister hasn't gotten into it and broken off the keys. Things like that, they're going to have to be mindful of. And then, of course, teaching them how to choose a quiet area for the students. And the same protocol that we have for us, having them check lighting, camera, and background. And then before the actual conference, kind of just get on there ahead of time so you can provide support and welcome them into your virtual classroom or your virtual meeting. And then set your norms. So we have a little video right here that you guys can watch or share with your students about how to be a good digital citizen. Feel free to share that, review that, and discuss some norms and rules for your virtual classroom. And then help them focus and engage. So show your have your parents show their children where the camera is, talk about from your side where the camera can be, how to look into the camera and speak to the class or to you as a teacher. Small little things that will over time become second nature. Question, Mrs. Jenda, you mentioned grade 4 through 12 for devices. If we have devices for other grade levels, are we able to hand them out? I want to say yes. We were talking about that yesterday on the call. I'm fairly confident, yes, but we're just saying 4 through 12 because that's all that the district has given out to everyone. So if you have all the way to kindergarten, feel free. But I'm saying 4 through 12 because some schools only have 4 through 12th grade. Wildwood, yes, I know y'all have, I think, 3rd grade. So yes, go ahead and give out to 3rd grade as well, Ms. Junda. And then, of course, stressing to the students, follow directions to the T, avoid distractions. This is a different learning environment. So just kind of going over, once again, some norms. Don't have them come in on the very first moment you add them to your team or your classroom and expect perfection, because it will not happen, sadly. Give them some time to adjust, learn where the camera is, learn how to engage, learn how to speak, mute themselves, things like that. Thank you, Mrs. Hartley. So yes, it will be a school side decision. So you and Mr. Edwards can kind of decide, Ms. Jenda. And then once again, say goodbye, end the meeting. Just to kind of recap where the end meeting button is. The little hang up red button is not your end meeting idea. There is the 3 dots. go there and hit in meeting. So that is your official, the meeting is over with for everyone. Make sure you do that. So yes, yesterday on a call we had, it was recommended possibly, giving out one Chromebook per family to maximize additional devices. But once again, that is a school site decision. So if you decide to do that, that's up to you guys at your school site. With regards to the consent, if parents are not in the class, how do we obtain consent if I want to record my lesson for student review? Will students receive a message requiring them to ask for parent permission? So when you hit record, it won't. Mrs. Kuiper, would you like to I'm going to defer that to Ms. Kuiper. Ms. Kuiper, would you like to pop in and answer that question?
Sure. With regards to consent, the question is I'm just making sure I understand it. If the pattern we contain consent to record the lesson, think of it much in the same way as if you were going to go into a class with a video recorder in the physical classroom. Before recording that class at La Belle Aire, you would obtain all of the consent forms from the student handbook for that class. You would not have any students in that class who did not sign that handbook sheet. So if you want to, but prior to recording or hitting record, just make sure that you have that that consent obtained using the student handbook form in much the same way. It's as currently configured, I don't know of a way for Microsoft Teams to deliver a form for the parents to sign for them to give consent prior to a video lesson. But just one of the things that you would do, one of the housekeeping items I would say prior to working with, turning on Microsoft Teams and building a team and inviting students into a lesson, is just making sure, hey, do all of my students have that video form completed? And just making sure that you have that squared away. Sending that form or getting that form completed by any parents prior to videoing or inviting them into a video conference.
Yes. And then, of course, I know some school sites have created their own video consent forms. Feel free to get with your admin. Y'all can create one and have it in maybe a Google form for them to virtually sign, or maybe have them sign when they pick up their devices. Let them know, hey, we may record some things throughout our lessons. Do you or do you not give permission, etc. When they come pick up Chromebooks, could you have something for them to sign? Yeah, there you go, Ms. Hall. Exactly. Yes, you definitely can have something at that time for them to sign. Yes. But just once again, you may want to have multiple pins, because right now you may not want to share something to somebody. I'm going to defer this question so we can go ahead and continue on, because I know it's just about almost ready for it to be over with. Thank you so much for your attendance, for your enthusiasm, for your amazing questions. There is a hyperlink on this specific slide that I would love for you guys to go to. tinyurl.com/EBRPD survey. If you go there, it will ask you a few questions on just some follow-up. How can our department continue to support you or your school site? So if you want to give that feedback, hey, pop over there and give that feedback. And then if you are an expert, so maybe you were like, okay, girl, I know all this. You sitting here just talking to me. I know all these things already. And you would like to share your expertise. I hear a little feedback. Hold on one second. And you would like to share your expertise with us. There's a little link right here that says that's tinyurl.com/EBRPD share. Go there, give us that feedback, and we can go and kind of use you to share your amazing ideas to some more principals and teachers across our district. So if you are an expert in this area on how to roll out Microsoft Teams and how to have all these awesome ideas within your school site or your classroom, go to that survey, type it in, and please give us some feedback so then we can kind of tap on you to provide support to our amazing principals and our amazing educators. If you guys don't have any additional questions, we have some resources right here for you guys on the very last slide. So feel free to go there and access these items at your own leisure. Remember, the presentation can be accessed at this website, tinyurl.com/EBRTeamsPD2. And of course, anytime y'all need any support, my email is slasper1@ebrschools.org, or reach out to anyone else on our team, and we'll be here to support you guys. So feel free, you guys. Please, please, please reach out. Do not think a question is a crazy question, because I promise you it is not. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your time at home. Please be safe. Good luck on rolling out the technology across your entire school site and your classroom, and just reach out once again to ask for any support. All right, you guys. So thank y'all. I'm gonna stay in for an extra couple of minutes to see if y'all have any additional questions. But if you're done and you think you're good to go, feel free to go ahead and leave the call. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Ms. Haney, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you show me again, where's the icon to start the recording?
Yes. So when I'm on my screen as the organizer of the video call, I have these options right here. And I have like my little camera on, my mic, my muting myself, my share my screen. But next to my screen sharing, I have my little 3 dots. They're called more actions. If I click that, I have the option, it's like 3 up, 2 up, to then start my recording. So when I click on that, my recording will start, and at the end, I can go ahead and stop it whenever I'm done. Were you able to locate it, Mr. Broadway?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Ms. Haney, can you give the information about where to find the PowerPoint again? Ms. Haney?
I'm sorry, I was talking my little life away and I was still muted. I apologize. It's right here. There you go. tinyyarnrow.com/EBR team with SPD2. Good. I'm so happy y'all are so excited to get started. Great, 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 great. Y'all have a blessed day. Please be safe. All right, Ms. Hall, you have a question. I know this is something that might be easy for 3rd through 12th grade because they're using Chromebooks, but do you think the K2 will be able to use Teams easily? To be honest, they could. Because I've had a few teachers from one of my school sites that I support reach out and say, oh my God, we tried it. It worked perfectly. And they both teach 1st grade. So yes, now will it be perfect? No, of course. But I think it could be successful in certain ways. I don't think you have to have everything online. You may want to do blended. So give them a packet and maybe provide support or enrichment online, like a little face-to-face video call if they have any questions, kind of office hours, desk kind of thing like that. But yeah, I've even had a teacher implement it in pre-K for her parents. So we may not want to add your students, you may want to just add your parents to have an extra way to communicate with them. So yeah, I think you're able to use it. Of course, it's going to be a case-by-case situation, but I have seen and I've experienced success with any grade level underneath 3rd grade. Hope that answers your question, Ms. Hall. And if you want, you have my number or my email, you can call me, Ms. Hall, and I can give you I can kind of connect you with those specific teachers, and maybe kind of you can pick their minds and see what's going on and how they are implementing it with their 1st grade and pre-K teachers. Yeah, exactly. So you can record yourself and share it. So maybe I would like to just record my lesson beforehand, and then I can stick it into my classroom or into my teams and have them come back and review it. Yes, good question. Oh, there we go. We have an actual 1st grade teacher in the chat. So she said she is 1st grade and she is recording and sharing. So yeah, so that works for her. So some people may have success with live, having them all tune in live. Some, I think majority of everybody will probably have better success with recording and then sharing it after that, or just having your parents have access to it. So yes. Any other questions, you guys? I'm gonna stay on for another 5 minutes.
Miss Haney,
Yes, ma'am.
this meeting will be presented again this afternoon.
Yes, for elementary. So we have 2 times for elementary right now, and then again at 4 o'clock. Yes, same space.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then tomorrow there's another.
Tomorrow it's a different topic, but it will be at 8 o'clock again tomorrow. That one's on best practices of an online classroom.
Okay, what if you missed the meeting yesterday? How can you
We did record it. I'm gonna push all that out by tomorrow. So I'm waiting on the last recording for tomorrow's training, and we're gonna have them all